Okay, so welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. I'm here to remind you that such is the nature of life, that all it asks and all it wants is the opportunity to appear. You are that opportunity, and so am I, and so it is. So welcome. We are going to follow our usual service today with a little shift and change here and there, and it'll be different and exciting and fun. As I saw on Facebook this week with several of my friends who are ministers, we've never led a group through a pandemic before. So, we get to find out a whole new way to live and a whole new way to do this. And I'm seeing it as a launching pad into a bigger, broader footprint all across the world, because we have people on this call from other states. We also have we'll be having people from all over the world listening and looking at this, because we have a widespread group of people who see our videos and such. So welcome. I'm glad you're here. Let's begin with an opening treatment. I will do this in the first person, and I invite you to take it for yourselves also in the first person. There's one power, one infinite intelligence, one universal presence. It is all there is, and it is right here with us. It is connecting us in consciousness, for within spirit there is no distance, there's no place, there is only the one and the together. So while we are each in our homes or in our various places, we are unified and connected in the one, and we're able to feel each other's presence across whatever distance there may be, as we connect and as we recognize we are part of a greater idea, a greater truth, and a greater being. So knowing this is so, I'm open myself to new ideas, to new thoughts, and to a great experience of unifying and being together. Knowing that this is true, I can release this now, I let it be, and so it is. So, who are we? We are the Center for Spiritual Living Midtown. We are a particular center here in Atlanta. There are 4 centers, maybe more, 5, I think, all total, when you count the independent and other centers that teach what we teach the same idea. And people often ask, so why? Why have 3? Why have 4? Why have more? Each of us offers something unique and something special to us based on the culture of our communities and the people who participate. This is a community that is all about staying grounded and focused in principle, with like-minded people who are looking to practice these principles in all our affairs, to put them to work in our lives. We are all about connection and engagement, and we're all about seeing and gathering tools to allow us to bring our dreams to full fruition at any time and throughout our lives. We are a healing center. This whole thing started as a teaching healing ministry, and we continue as a healing ministry where people can bring their stuff, their histories, their hurts, their pains, their whatever, and find spiritual solutions for those. So as we do that, we invite you, and as I go through today, I invite you to join in allowing whatever needs to be healed, whatever needs to be changed, whatever needs to be transformed, to come to the surface and be released and be moved through. So we are all about techniques. We teach all kinds of techniques for creating our person, or having our potential expressed, techniques for healing, techniques for growth. That is what we're about and who we are. We do that based on our principles, which you will, I think, find on the screen here in a moment. And if you care to, I will read them aloud. You can read with me or mumble along, whatever works for you. So I believe in one God, one absolute power and first cause to all things. I believe that this power is perfect love, and it creates out of a desire to express love. I believe all thought is creative, and how I choose to think creates my personal experience. I believe in the unity of all life and the immortality of the individual soul forever unfolding. I believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of God to all. So I wanted to read to you today. Our practitioner of the day is me. So you're getting a full dose of Bob this morning. And I wanted to share with you a reading from Raymond Charles Barker. I wanted to thank J. Scott Neal, who is one of my unofficial mentors over the years and a very clear teacher of this teaching, for posting this on Facebook. You know, Facebook has it all now. We can just find out everything we want to know. So here's what Barker has to say about health. Barker says, "The mind which created me out of itself is a healthy mind. It created my consciousness to be a healthy consciousness, knowing that I make certain that my thinking and my attitudes about life are healthy. I rejoice in my gift of health, strength, and vitality. God is the source and the process of my present health. I maintain an affirmative viewpoint. I expect my health on this day to be continuous into the years to come. Any unhealthy patterns in my subconscious mind are now erased. Only spiritual patterns of health operate in my consciousness. I have no interest in illness. I do not speculate about such possibilities. I know that it cannot happen to me." So it is. There's more, but I decided to stop there. What I love about that is the reminder that it is not about figuring out whether you think you're going to get the virus or whether you need to do this or that to keep from getting the virus. The place to not have the virus is in our minds. Now, that doesn't mean we shouldn't still be careful and do those things that our inner selves invite us to do as far as care and distance, physical distance from people. I'll talk a little more of that in the talk. But for now, I wanted to invite you to join me in a meditation and followed by treatment. I'll do this by sharing with you. I used these same words about two weeks ago, and I find them to be very helpful. I use them on a regular basis. So I invite you to take them also for yourselves. This is from Emma Curtis Hopkins. So as I take a moment and take a nice breath and settle into the truth of my being, I turn away from all that is around me. I turn away from whatever is happening in the room around me. I turn away from the noises that may be showing up. I turn away from any thoughts, concerns, or fears popping up in my head, in my mind. Not only because it allows me to look more deeply within. And in the depth of my soul and heart and consciousness, I affirm the truth for myself. My life is the life of spirit. Today, I make a covenant with spirit for my life, knowing spirit preserves it. I need not. My health is the health of spirit. I covenant with spirit for my well-being, knowing I need not try to do anything to maintain it other than know that it is mine. My strength is the strength of spirit. I covenant with spirit for my strength. My support is the substance of spirit. I covenant with the spirit for my support, knowing I need do nothing to earn it. My protection is the power of spirit. I covenant with spirit for my defense, knowing that in spirit there is nothing to fear. My mind is the mind of spirit. I covenant with the spirit for my right thinking, knowing I need do nothing to conquer or manage my thoughts. My speech is the voice of spirit. I covenant with spirit for my right speech, knowing I need do nothing to guard or enhance my words. As with Job, my witness is in the heavens, and my record is on high. I covenant with spirit to record and recognize my truth, knowing I need not fix, nor record, nor worry about writing it down. It is recorded in spirit. I invite us to sit for a few moments with this idea. Allow ourselves a few moments of meditation. And so it is. Those affirmations are from Emma Curtis Hopkins. They're part of her mental, scientific Christian mental healing, I think is the name of the book. I think I got that wrong, but it's close. And the music is by Youre from Calm Radio. So I wanted you to know that reference so we're not inappropriately using anything here. And at this point, there's usually music. And we don't have our music today because we're still figuring out how to do this. However, I'm not going to sing, so you can relax. You're safe. So am I. What we will do next is talk about a talk, which today for me is following along with our, sorry about all the noise of the page turns. I have a very sensitive mic. I'm excited this year to be using the tools from the Center for Spiritual Living, as they provided us with themes and talk titles, or at least talk ideas. Today's idea, I'm not sure was intended to be a title. However, I picked it up to use it, then later had second thoughts, but it was out there, so we're going to go with it. And the title is the Law as Womb. And someone pointed out that when we are talking of the masculine content of the law, we don't really talk about the male body parts. So why do we feel comfortable talking about the female body parts? And I guess I want to say that it's because it's a bigger idea than a body part. The idea of womb is a huge idea in consciousness. It is the idea of that which we all come from, but which all great ideas come from, and all great experiences and expressions come from. So we can kind of get away with using that perhaps. When we get to a month on the masculine energy, I'll decide about talking about the male body parts, and we'll take it from there. But for now, know that the idea of the womb as representative or a physical manifestation of spiritual law is a really very powerful idea in many ways. we talk about a lot, and many of you, I see who you are on the call, understand our teaching to be that spirit that shows up, or life shows up, or consciousness shows up in two different ways. It shows up as spirit and as law, as love and as law, as being a productive, pushing forward, like we set our goals, we make our affirmations, and we set our intentions on the one hand, and then the receptive side of us, the feminine energy, which receives those ideas and then creates our physical experience out of them. And in that sense, that receptive feminine side could be considered a womb. It's a place where everything begins and grows, and it starts with simply an idea, an energy, and then it draws to it everything needed and everything that matches the idea to allow it to come into full physical form. In a teaching of oneness, we know there is no separation between spirit, energy, and matter. It's all one thing. Spirit is the essence, the potential, the possibility. Energy is that possibility moving into the energetic realm and slowing down a little, you might say. And then when energy gets into relationship with itself and really slows down, it becomes matter. It becomes stuff. It becomes the physical parts of our body and everything in us. As you know, we are much larger than our physical expression, much larger than anything we can see. We can measure how far out our energy field goes, where our consciousness reaches to, in interesting new science that's coming up. So for this idea, this talk today, we're looking at the idea that thoughts, ideas, intentions, potential gets placed in the womb, in the consciousness of the feminine, to be expressed in a bigger and bigger and greater way. And we don't even have conscious awareness of how that happens. Things happen, they show up. People come into our lives that we never expected. We have ways of it's a surprise. We never know how that feminine side is going to take what the masculine energy is put into it and create greater and greater and greater beingness, greater and greater physical expression. The key, though, and you know this, is that the expression always matches the idea that we put forward and put into it. And so we have this grand and great idea of our health, and we have healthier bodies. Now, it's tough in our world today because we get bombarded with all this other stuff. The whole world's in a panic right now. We are all part of that universal consciousness, or that universal race consciousness. So we each have to do our own part not to participate in that. We also know that if you put an idea of apples into the mix, you're going to get apples. If you put an idea of a better life for yourself with greater prosperity, you will have that. If it gets tainted with also a belief in not deserving it, whether it's prosperity or health, or not having what it takes to create it, or being too old or too fat or too whatever, then it ends up being producing exactly according to what we put into it. We put an idea in there that we just can't, that it's too late, or that it's too soon. And there with many young people, I work a lot with teenagers, there is a feeling that we can't really do anything yet because they don't take us seriously. We're not old enough, blah, blah, blah. Well, as long as that's the belief, that's what happens. However, I saw a thing yesterday about a 17-year-old who's created a website that's tracking this virus worldwide and keeping up with every new case when it shows up, when the government can't come up with a way to track it that works as well, and seemingly no one else. So everyone's after him to look at, how did you do this? What did you do? Age has nothing to do with it. Vision and purpose and idea and focus is what has to do with it. Our choices and our direction, and then our ability to, and willingness to follow through on those things when we have the ideas for them. So that that receptive part, that feminine part, always responds to what we're putting into it. And it responds accurately and in correspondence with our thoughts. So I ask you, what are your habitual thoughts? Because it doesn't do that just for the big ones and the occasional, oh, ha, ha's. Those are great. It responds to our habitual thinking. And I can't change that for you, but I can sure nudge you and encourage you and invite you to change it for yourself. I talked at the end of my talk last week about the idea that we are divine spiritual beings. And as such, we have the power within us to create the lives of our desires. I believe that with everything in me. What I know, though, is, and several people ask me this afterwards, how? How do we do that? You know, it's a great, grand, big, wonderful, beautiful idea, but how do we do it? Well, today's talk is about how we do it. How we do it is we use our intention, our ideas, our conscious minds, our spirit to impregnate our feminine selves with great ideas that can't do anything but manifest. It's automatic. They don't have a choice. It's how spirit works. It's how life works. So we allow ourselves to create by changing our minds about what we focus on and think about. I spent way more time this week than was prudent on watching the latest on the virus. As if, in fact, I do that same thing with hurricanes. You know, you just pour on over the TV sometimes, hoping that you get one more little tidbit of truth or idea or information, but in the meantime, you've watched 2 more hours of blah, blah, blah. Now, I didn't do that much, but I did it more than I would like. And I found myself starting to think and feel like that's all there is right now in the world. That we just are all in this, you know, the air is polluted and everything is in it and blah, blah, blah. So I got out and took a walk so I could break that whole pattern and put a new idea in my mind that that's just nonsense. Yes, it's there. Yes, we have to pay attention. But no, I'm not going to keep focusing in my own heart and mind and putting into the law that this is going to be a problem of all sorts. So I get to stay home. We'll get to that in a minute. So it's that habitual thinking that makes a difference. And you know, Ernest Holmes says in the textbook that we don't change our minds like you would change, or imagine changing your mind is like changing a big glass of dirty water. We've got all kinds of conflicting ideas in our minds. We have conflicting ideas in our hearts. And we want to begin to clear those and clean those and move them toward a belief in oneness, a belief in our individual power, a belief that we can indeed make a difference in our lives and the lives of other people. But you don't do that by dumping out the whole glass, because that makes for a dark night of the soul. That makes for a time where you just don't know who or what you are. What he suggests is we change it by dropping, like a water dropper or a little eyedropper, dropping one new idea at a time until the water gets clearer and clearer and clearer. Our minds become more clear and focused and sharp with that idea of oneness, that idea of our ability and our potential. That's where we are today, in my opinion, is that we are in that business for ourselves and anyone else who is receptive to it, to begin to accept those drips and those drops of better ideas and better thinking and clearer focus. There's been a lot of wonderful stuff around this week, along with all of the terror and the horror and the facts, and then the overreaction to the fact. There's a story of a monk who was meditating beside the road, and in the meditation, in his vision, the plague walked by, and he said, "What are you doing here?" And the plague said, "Well, I'm on my way to the next village to take the life of 100 people." And the monk asked him not to, but he did. He continued to move. The plague went ahead and went away. About a week later, the monk was meditating. And when he was in his meditation, the monk saw the plague coming back from the village and stopped him again and said, I thought you said you were only going to take the life of 100 people. And yet 1,100 people died in that village last week. And plague looked at him calmly and said, well, I only took the life of 100 people. Panic took the rest. I think we're in a time where one of the most important things that we can place in our consciousness around this whole thing is that there is no need for panic and there is no need for fear. There is a need for positive, conscious choices, yes, but not based on panic and fear and not based on thinking everything is coming to an end as we know it. What we can know is that this situation we're in now has many, many, many positive, powerful aspects. Not so much for the ones that are sick, but for those of us who are not, there are some powerful things happening right now in our world. There's a story of an area in Italy. I don't know if it's true or not, but I saw it on the internet, so it must be true. And that story said that in this little village where there are a number of elderly people, they've gone to the full lockdown. And they've also been encouraged to keep their windows open to get lots of fresh air in. I'm grateful we can do that right now. And a number of those elderly people live alone, and folks began to sing to one another through the window, or if they're outside their apartments walking around or their houses, they sing so that folks can hear their voices and not feel so alone. How often do we stop long enough to care about our neighbors and our friends in a way that we can bring that kind of powerful love and compassion to play in the world? Do I wish we'd find a different way to do it? Sure. However, that's a benefit of where we are right now. It's a way to put a different idea in that heart, in that womb, in that consciousness of receptivity that allows you to have a very different experience of this. I saw someone on Facebook that said, if your kids are at home with nothing to do, let them make cards to send to nursing homes where people aren't allowed visitors right now. Find ways to reach out and touch, and use this time that we normally are running around making money and doing all those other wonderful things, not knocking them, but ways to bring those things forward and bring a whole different kind of humanity into play here, different kind of compassion. Reasons to reach out. Real respect for individuals and one another. We can't run up and hug each other right now. We're discouraged from that. We did a lot of it on Sunday, and we got some raised eyebrows from the academy, but that's okay. They did what they did. So but instead of that, what if over that distance that we're creating physically, we took an extra moment and just did eye contact? Emma Curtis Hopkins teaches that on Thursday afternoons, and you can do it all week, but that's when you practice it most, our spiritual practice should be to see the perfection and goodness of every person. That when we see someone walking by and we walk by them, we say to ourselves and we affirm, knowing that our word is God's word, that person is healthy. That person is well, that person is prosperous, that person has everything they dream of. So as we do that, now especially, we're not distracted by the touch. We can focus in our consciousness to make a difference for yourself as well as everyone around you. Imagine taking an afternoon stroll and thinking that constantly about every person you meet. You think the rest of your week would go well? I think it would. Mine would. Get me out of the house, if nothing else. So these kinds of things are what we can do, and to start putting different drops of clear water into that muddiness of all of the stuff we're getting bombarded with right now. Affirmations are another rich way to do that, to change what's going on in our consciousness and in our womb. It's interesting, when I say womb, I'm pointing to my heart. Well, it's kind of the same thing in some ways. We're talking symbol anyway. It's a good time to affirm that you are the divine expression of the infinite. It's a good time to affirm that your body lovingly maintains itself and operates in perfect harmony and in vibrant health. Every cell within you is alive with its spiritual prototype. There's a spiritual body as well as a physical body, and the spiritual body is what forms that physical body, but it gets interfered with by the other stuff that goes on. So affirming that my spiritual self, my spiritual body at the very cellular level and maybe deeper, is really the body I am operating from right now. The atmosphere around me, the air around me, the air that I breathe and the things that I touch are all filtered out by spirit, so allowing only those things which support my love and my life and my health to come inside it, to come into it. And imagining that like a bubble around you, and the only thing gets in is love, and the only thing that gets out is love. The only thing that gets in is providing you with greater health, and the only thing that gets out provides you. And that kind of mental image is a treatment. It is an affirmation. It is something that's real and true for you and can continue to be true for you. I have a great immune system. I'm proud of it. All I got to do is scratch myself, and I get all sorts of strange things growing there that looks like it's strange growing, but it's not. It's just the body reacting and taking care of getting rid of what didn't belong. Little pollen pops up this time of year, and I sneeze, getting rid of it, clearing it out. So I'm affirming a strong and clear immune system to carry me forward. And that's not just about right now. This will pass. This is about how we live our lives on a regular basis and what this teaching has to bring to the world. Not in denial of circumstance, but in recognizing that our circumstances are not cause to the whole story or the cause to our experience. So in closing, I will just remind you a phrase from the 12-step programs that has always served me well, and that is that this too shall pass. And it works well whether it's for something I don't like that's going on, and I want to be done with, or if it's something I am loving very much and trying to hold on to and keep. And the phrase is, this too shall pass. And I was thinking about that in terms of this current health situation. And the truth is, this too shall pass, but you won't. Not now, not ever. You're here for the long haul. You're here to live your life in this life and the next life and the next life. And that's where your power lies. No pandemic, virus, or anything else is going to end you. Your life continues to go and grow and expand and express, regardless of what happens with you physically. That's because you're wonderful, and so am I. So it is. So join me, if you will, for a few moments of silence and another brief sort of anchoring of all of these ideas into our lives and into this day. In this moment, at this time, I know and know that I know I am a forever being. My life experience continues to grow and expand in whatever shape and form that takes. And as I affirm this, I feel and I'm aware of the fear, the question, the concern, the attitude, all of that negative attitude simply drifting away, dissolving back into the nothingness it came from. And I find and experience in my heart and soul and life right now a deep sense of well-being. On every level of life. When I go from this place, as I go from this place, I carry that sense of well-being with me, and since it is generated from the infinite within me, it has no limit. It cannot be exhausted. It cannot be used up. So I readily share it in my mind and heart, my thoughts, with every being that I encounter. I whisper in my own mind, you are well, you are healthy, you are prosperous, and so am I. You are loved, and so am I. And if I am bombarded with stuff that says otherwise, I listen to it, I notice it, I participate in the community as appropriately as I believe in, and I don't take it in. There is no thing in the universe against me. I am fully in harmony and in full cooperation with every part of the universe. So I have nothing to fear. Nothing to fear from health, nothing to fear from age, nothing to fear from youngness, nothing to fear from any place, thing, or circumstance. I let go of my fear. I let it dissolve into the faith in the better idea, the faith in the truth, and faith in myself as an expression of the infinite. And in this faith and in this truth, I quietly and gently allow myself to let go. I just let go of worry, of anxiety, of rushing, of any of those things which seem to create anything other than peace. And in my life, I establish peace. I am peace. The peace that is spirit, that is God itself, is expressing in me, as me, and everyone who sees me, hears me, or has any contact with me recognizes that and embraces the peace within them. I am a center, a divine center of conscious choosing. And I choose peace, love, and harmony. And in this choosing, I release this now, knowing this work is complete for today, for right now, knowing that this treatment is now part of the mind that is God and part of the very fabric of the universe. And in that, it unfolds with grace, truth, and manifests from the womb of God in every experience and physical manifestation that I have going. And some I haven't even seen yet. Knowing this is so, I release this now, letting it be. And so it is. Nice. I really appreciate you all being here. I want to remind you that we do have our financial responsibilities continue. And I want to just remind you that you are free to give to the center through our website, through PayPal. You may send a check to our post office box, which you'll find on the website. You can do all of that through the website. And would remind you of our affirmation of prosperity. And it goes like this. I live in a universe of abundance. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow. And all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. So take a few moments and imagine giving your gift of truth, life, goodness, whatever, to this community, to your friends, to the people you know, to those you don't yet know, to those who haven't found us yet. Imagine giving them the gift of love, the gift of prosperity. We are not limited by our physical presence or lack thereof. Thank you, and so it is. All right, so in closing, I want to just talk about the announcements really quickly. I don't have very many, but I will let you know, and this is not yet on the website, but it will also be coming out in another email this week. As you can imagine, we are getting this stuff put together and cranking it out as fast as we can with the shift of our physical presence and experience. And so that this week on Tuesday morning at 8 a.m., yes, I do get up that early. At 8 a.m., we're going to have a brief, or however long it takes, an open conversation and Q&A for people to talk about this or anything else, and we'll close that with a treatment. I don't expect this to take more than about half an hour, but we'll do a spiritual mind treatment at the end based on people's concerns. And it's a little like the old prayer works, but I don't want to call it that because I don't want it to be confused. That was a real specific kind of program. This is more about just keeping up and keeping connected during this time when so many people are isolated in their homes or isolated away from one another, or you can't go to work or whatever. So we will use this same link. If you have this link, jot it down. It will also be available on the website very soon, so that you can come in and be part of that. I'll be leading that particular one. Excuse me. And we're going to do this for the next several weeks. Maybe forever, who knows, but definitely the next several weeks. And then on Thursday at 6 o'clock, for those of you who don't get up early, we will have another similar session. We will just go with who's there and what the questions are. It's not going to be a planned, prescribed program. And then it will end with a practitioner. I'm inviting the practitioners. I have invited the practitioners to join me in facilitating these. So I'll be doing some. I'll probably be there on all of them, but one or another practitioner will actually facilitate doing that. I am going to be launching two new classes in April. I decided to just wait until all the hoopla is over. The one that is entitled Visioning, which is an 8-week class on incorporating visioning and its power and purpose in your day-to-day spiritual practice. It's a very powerful course. I've taught it several times over the years, and you're here, Sarah. So we have folks that took that course in Philadelphia, 8 years ago or so, that are still meeting weekly to do visioning together. It's something that can really help establish and ground us in our spiritual lives and our spiritual practice. So if that's an interest to you, that course will be, and again, this will be on the website. The second course is Building a Consciousness of Healing. And this is based on that chapter by that name in the Science of Mind textbook. It's also an 8-week class. Both of these are certificated courses for those who are interested in becoming practitioners or having the certificated experience, or own record and such. So I'm still working on the cost. Both of them will be done online unless I get enough interest from people that want to meet in person. And I do have a place that we could go and meet in person on Thursday mornings. The online versions will be Wednesday night and Thursday night. And then the in-person will be one or the other of those mornings. We only have space for one in person. So if you're interested in that in person, let me know, get back to me. And I think that's it. I'm looking, let me see my notes one more second. Right, so watch for all that on the web and from Facebook, or not, well, yeah, Facebook too. It'll be on all the places. And I think we're complete. So I'll do our closing affirmation, and then I will hang around for a few minutes if anyone wants to ask questions or comment or whatever. Since we're all here in person and we can't go out and have coffee in the lobby, we'll have coffee and conversation right here, right now. And all you need to do is unmute yourself. You can talk to one another. You can talk to me. You can talk to whomever. So here's the final word for the day. So I leave this place now, knowing something better than I knew before. I go forth into the world with a heart full of love and a mind full of good sense. I look at the world in a greater way, knowing that I have within me everything I need. I'm sorry, that just stopped me. Everything I need, period. To create the life I desire. I give thanks for this understanding. I am grateful for the spirit of life that lives through me. And so it is. Thank you. And we can turn off the recording.